everything up. Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I was hoping it was going to be. But sometimes everything goes out the window and you have to try to recover from it. And today's video was supposed to be a video on how to reshape the headstock of your guitar. Because if you've seen the other videos, I'm working on a black Stratocaster at the moment, and I was going to reshape the headstock, and I was going to show you how to use a template and a router and just reshape it. And I filmed everything up until the point where I was going to do the routing. And some of you probably realize exactly what it is I'm about to tell you happened. And the funny thing is, I told you in the video, which you don't get to see, but I said in the video that that you should be careful doing this because of how the router moves. It might grab the wood and tear it to shred and destroy what you're working on, and you have to be careful. And I don't know really why I wasn't being careful, but I wasn't. And I think it might be because the camera was in the way and I was filming things in an angle that made me not really able to see what I was doing. But anyway, what I did was that I destroyed the headstock of the guitar neck, and I just, I ripped it apart, and it all just broke and flew off in different directions. And there are videos online you can watch on how to use a router the correct way. I'm not going to go into it in this video. I'm not really in the mood, which you might... it might not be that hard to understand that that's the way it is, but I'm trying to recover from what happened, and instead I'm going to share with you how I fixed the headstock. I can't film that because obviously this is something that took an entire the rest of the day basically, and it was super annoying, and I was in a very bad mood, and so it would have been impossible to film. But I'm gonna tell you now that I've calmed down a little bit, and I'm just gonna explain what I did. So this is the headstock right now, and if you look at it from afar, like here or something, you might not be able to tell that there is anything wrong with it, but if you look real closely you might be able to see that right here we have a crack that goes all the way up. And the way I fixed this was that I found all the parts, and I found all the parts and I glued them slowly back together using super glue and wood glue, and just trying to find all the pieces and matching them up as best as I could. And then I used the remaining parts as little extra pieces to fill in the gaps, so shaving them down. And as long as you keep the grain going in the same direction so that you don't get any weird crossing, you should be able to put it up together. And then I filled in the little cracks that was still left with super glue and sawdust. So for example, I don't know if you can see, but right on the edge right here, the very edge there, I had to fill it up with a little bit of super glue and dust. And that's how I did it. So now you know. If you look at this video and you wonder where the in-between part of changing the headstock looks, where that video is, whatever, it's this video. There are a bunch of different ways you can do it. You could do it with files and hand tools, and you could reshape the neck that way, or the headstock that way. And it might... The problem really is the fact that I don't have that much time to make the videos, and I'm always on a time crunch where it's like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this, I have to finish this now, basically. And that's not really the way you're supposed to make things, but sometimes that's the only option, and that's when you need to find ways to do it so there are no risk involved. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to start this video off on a very gloomy and boring way. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna put on some lacquer now, and so at least you get something in this video that is maybe a little bit fun and creative and something. And yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot more I could say about this right now, but I don't really feel like doing it. Just try to just stop everything when it gets pulverized and look for all the pieces, and then try to puzzle them back together, and let it take the time it takes. The more time you can put into just puzzling together, the better results you'll get. And then just super glue everything back together, all the smallest pieces, you know, the ones that are just like this big. You can't even see what I'm holding, but anyway, and just put everything back together. And then when you have big chunks, you can glue them back with wood glue, and then sand everything flat and smooth, and then put down some lacquer or something. I'm gonna put down lacquer because I think it's gonna hide everything a little bit more, and I think that will help me with this headstock. I also want the lacquered headstock look because that's what I like. So yeah, I'm just gonna mix some lacquer stain and use it as color, and we'll put it on. So I'll be back. Okay, so I have here some lacquer stain and a little bit of spirit, and I've mixed up a color, and it's this weird coffee grind color, but it looks pretty okay, at least for a first base layer. I might go back and change it a little bit because it's a little bit off color, I would say. But anyway, I'm just gonna put it on a layer like this. And you can spray it if you have a sprayer, but I'm not really in the mood to bust it out and do it, because I would have to do it indoors, and I don't have the facility for handling the disaster of sprayed indoors. And so I'm just gonna do it this way for now. Just put it on. It evens itself out pretty well. It's not perfect, but I don't necessarily need it to be perfect. 98% or whatever is good enough for me at the moment, and I'm just gonna put it on like this, and yeah, I'll come back to it once. I don't know, I'll leave it to dry for maybe an hour, and then I'll come back and put on another layer, and I'll just do that a couple of times, and I'll be back once I've done that. Now obviously it all depends sort of on what you're going for and what you're doing. I'm gonna sand back the back of the neck and do some relic work on it. I know some people don't like the whole relic thing, but you can at least acknowledge the fast feel of a sanded back neck is amazing. So if you're here and you're like, he's relicing another neck, why? You know, I need my necks to be fantastic and feel amazing, and that's why I relic them. I'll come back once I'm done and I'm happy and it's time for like sanding or something, which will be another day because obviously I need to put on a couple of layers and let them dry completely. Okay, so I'm back and the neck has been lacquered about 5 times. I want to talk about the neck structure. You have the structure going from the strings over here, and if you destroy with a router anything but the cosmetic horn part, which is this part here, then the structure of the neck might be compromised, and you can't just glue it back together and be done with it. You have to like route out channels and things and make it structural again, which is not an issue that I'm thankfully having to do, because that would mean that I would have to splice in pieces of wood and I would have to do a lot more work than I have to do now. And I would also have maybe something that wasn't as neatly. This is looking pretty good right now. I mean, you can obviously tell that there has been work done, but it's not as bad as I felt like it was when it happened. Just want to put that in there. So if you have a neck that you've destroyed, you don't necessarily have to throw it all away. Obviously, if the integrity of the neck is destroyed and you think it might not be able to hold the tension of the strings anymore, then you're running into problems, and maybe getting a new neck would just be the better option, because you wouldn't have to have that much work for something that might in the end not work anyway. Just wanted to put that in. I'm gonna go back to continue lacquering this neck, because the way I'm doing it right now with brushing it on means that I'm gonna have to put on a couple of more layers than what I maybe want to do, and then I'm gonna have to let it dry for a week, and hopefully it's gonna look really nice. I hope so. Because otherwise it's, you know, a little bit of a bummer. Maybe have to replace the entire neck, I don't know, but hopefully not. Yeah, this guitar build-off series is not going as planned. Hopefully when we get to the body and the electronics, things are going to run a little bit smoothly and just be easygoing. But this was a setback, and really annoying setback that never mind. I'll be back real soon. Bye. Okay, so I am back, and first off, sorry if I seemed kind of down in the beginning of the video, which I was. I was devastated. I had big ideas for this guitar, and it's never fun to have to change things around, but it's okay. I'm fine. Don't worry. It's a week later. It's more, but never mind. The neck is dried, and it's a little bit uneven in color. You have some spaces that is darker than the other ones, but I decided that maybe that could be a benefit, because maybe it will distract from some of the mishaps. We're just gonna continue working on the neck. This is what it looks like. Here's the headstock and here's the neck. And I didn't lacquer in the middle because we're gonna sand it back. That's gonna be perfectly fine and all. It's gonna turn out great. When you have to do things like this, where you have to recover, you sometimes have to just take some sort of liberties with some of the things you have to do. So for example, one thing that I forgot to tell you is that I reshaped this. So I wanted a sharper shape here, but since I couldn't, and you can maybe see that the angle in here a little bit weirdly, but I just couldn't fix that really because I didn't have the pieces to do so. So it looks a little bit wonky right there. It has a little bit of a weird steepness right here. But the neck feels really nice, and your hand goes up here. So if you have to hold it or anything like that, we're just gonna sand it back. I have a little bit of wet and dry sandpaper, which you also will see in the next video, so I won't talk too much about it. But I'm just gonna sand it with this. This is 1200. So let's jump into it. You need a little bit of water, and that's it. Let's go. And we're not gonna go overboard. We're just gonna even it out and make it look nice. We have to do this side down here as well. Just take our paper and just go back and forth like this and just sand it. Okay, so the next step is sanding this area here. It's really nice and smooth, but we want to get it really nice. And first off, we're going to start off with 400 grit, regular sandpaper. And we're going to try to sand off some of the lacquer as well, and just get that natural, getting rid of some of the lacquer look, and just basically move back and forth like this and just take off. And it's gonna take a while because we're going to 400 grit, but I don't necessarily need to start off at a lower rate. And we want to end somewhere around the middle here of the first fret, because when you play, your hand never really goes any further. So yeah, and I'm just gonna let it do that naturally. I'm not gonna sit here and like try to measure it up, but I might hold my hand here so that it bumps into it and just go back and forth like this. Okay, so I've sanded it back, and I might sand it a little bit more, I don't know, but it's really smooth now. And so, because we could obviously just put on some oil finish here now and be done, but it's not gonna look right. So we are gonna put on this. And if you've seen any of my other relicing video, you already know what this is, and you don't need me to tell you. But if you're new here, you should subscribe. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you should do that too, obviously. I want you to, but I was joking. This is something that I call liquid rust. And it's just, you take vinegar and you take some rust from nails or whatever, and you put it together. And the reason why I do that is because if you use steel wool, which you can do if you want to, and I know someone is always commenting whenever I'm using this, that I could do that. And I know that I can do that, because this is basically that. But the thing is, then you have to wait for it to rust, and I don't really have time to sit around and wait. It's like waiting for paint to dry or something, you know, it just, I have stuff to do. So we just smear it on, and it will have already started rusting by itself, because it has already been rusting in this. And so I don't have to wait for it, I have it already kept. In the amount of time that we talked, I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but it's already starting to get grey. You can see it. It goes fairly quickly. I'm gonna just relic this a little bit. Just get a little bit of dings in here and a couple of dings up here on the headstock. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's not really relevant, but I'm doing it because I think that will help the neck distract from some of the mistakes on here. So yeah, I'll be back real soon. I'm just gonna ding this a little bit. Okay, so here is the guitar neck. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little bit of... Am I showing you the right side? No. Sorry. There's a little bit of scuffed up and dings, and the neck, the back of the neck here is all grey. It has a little bit of redness to it, which I don't really understand why that happened, because it's never happened before, which is a little bit weird, actually. I wonder. Anyway, here I have some shellac. I like to use shellac. That's a good thing. It's good. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm gonna just take a little bit of shellac on a rag like this, and you should have gloves on because this is kind of hard to get off your hands. Not so hard to get on. And I'm just gonna put down a layer like this over here and just seal up the wood a little bit. I'll leave it to dry for 5 minutes, and then I'll go on again, and 5 minutes, go on again, 5 minutes, go on again, and so on. Until I've done this for maybe 10 layers or something. 7 layers, somewhere around there. Okay, so now that it's been left to dry for a while, and I put a couple of layers on it, and it looks pretty nice. We're gonna do something that I always do, that I like to do, that I think is great. We take a piece of sandpaper. This is still 1200. I usually don't feel a need to go much further than that. Then we put a little bit of shellac on it, and we actually sand the guitar neck with the shellac on. And we just have to even it out. And if you just keep some of the shellac on the guitar neck as you sand it, you get a nice vacuum-like contact, and that's all we need. And I'm gonna do this a couple of times, not many, 3 or 4. But I'll put down a final coat, super thin, just to make it nice and glossy on the orange parts, the headstock and the neck heel. And in the middle here, I'll just go on with the sanding, and it will be a little bit matter here, but once it's been left to dry overnight, this will be a really nice and fast neck. It will feel amazing. It already feels amazing, so we take our rag and we just put on a little bit of shellac, and we just put on a thin coat. We just smear it around, try to make it look nice and glossy again, and it'll give that old hand-rubbed feel to it that just is so nice to see and just makes everything so much nicer. And I'm just gonna put it down the entire neck, and then we're gonna leave it to dry overnight. And when we come back to it tomorrow, I promise you it's gonna be beautiful. I'm very happy with this finish. I wish the neck was that I didn't have to do the relicing and that the whole thing had come out the way I wanted, but you gotta just take what you can get. And today what I can get is this nice reliced neck that still has beauty in it. I don't know if that looks as beautifully honey brown golden on the camera as it does in real life, but it does look really nice for me. So that's it for now. See you tomorrow when this has been left to dry. So here is the neck right now, and it's all good. It looks really nice for what it is. You can see that mark right down here. You can see that on both sides. But other than that, it's not super obvious that it's been broken unless you're really close, which I can see my eyes through the... It's a little bit easier on the back. I think you can see the stripe down here. But you know, sometimes things just don't go the way you're thinking that they will go, or that you're planning for them to go. And that's when you have to recover from it and just try to, you know, do something to fix it to the best of your ability. And hopefully it will turn out, you know, maybe not exactly as you wanted, but still pretty good. I wasn't going to relic the neck, but I had to do that. Or, I mean, I obviously didn't have to, but I feel like if you look at the back here and you see the scuff marks right here, and then you see that little mark right there, it goes together pretty well. And we have a little bit of like scratches in the finish here and things like that. It's a little bit weird, and you guys are most likely gonna think it's weird because in the next video we're taking care of the body, and it's I made this while this was drying, so that's, you know, why I know that. But in the next video is gonna be the body, and we're gonna work really hard on getting rid of all the dings and scratches and make that one look not relicked. So it's gonna be a very different video than this one, but that body, I mean, it's probably gonna end up relic too, which I'll talk more about in the next video. This video is already too long, and the next one is really long. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna try to make it shorter, but yeah, we'll see if I manage to do that. I don't think so. But anyway, here's the neck, and here's the back, and here's the heel and everything. We still have to take care of the fretboard and things like that, but we'll leave that for now, and we'll be back with that for another video. I just want to say, because I think that when I did the video where I carved this, that I measured the neck at the first thread and at the 12th. I think I did. I might not have done that. I don't remember. So I was thinking that I'll measure it again, and we'll just see what sort of difference the neck has now that completely done. So if I measure around first thread again, we are now at 19, which I think is 3 mils from the first video. I think I was at 22 or something, and at the 12th thread we are down to 20, which is a nice little taper. But it's not just a matter, of course, about the thickness, it's also a question of the shape of it. And so yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because I don't think I did that remeasuring, but I might have done it. But I also felt like you should measure once the neck is done, because the neck was done and finished when I did it the first time, and now it's been sanded and lacquered and reliced and all of that. And I just want to say, I mean, you obviously you can't tell because this is a video, but this neck is so smooth and it's so comfortable and it fits perfectly in my hand, and it's just amazing. Just wanted to brag a little bit, I suppose. No, but seriously, I just wanted to, like, we're moving in the right direction. Things are getting better. This guitar is, you know, being elevated from wherever it was to awesomeness. So even if I have a little bit of mistakes here and there and things are not going completely the way I want to, I'm still making this into a better guitar, and the things I'm doing are still making this into something that is better. And so if you're watching all these videos going, I don't know, should I follow his steps, then I think you still can. Like, feeling this neck makes me believe that I'm gonna have an amazing guitar when all is said and done. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me throughout all these weird things that I'm making. But hopefully you learned something and you enjoy the ride and you're getting inspired. Most of the things I'm doing is more to inspire you than to tell you what to do. So if you feel like I'm telling you, you have to do this, I'm trying not to do that. I'm starting to ramble and I need to go. I have a lot of other things to do. If you're new here, please press the subscribe button. It helps out and lets me know that the channel is growing and that I should keep on making videos. And also press the like button to let me know that you're still interested in this guitar and want to see more videos about it. Stay awesome and cool, and go and do some amazing lacquering on a guitar neck. It will always be better if you lacquer your own guitar necks than if you let a factory or someone who doesn't know anything do it. I'm gonna poof, in a cloud of smokes. Okay? So